Hello and welcome. Not much of an intro this time, we're going to get straight to it. And ta-da, there we go. Alright, so we're on the ground here in southern UK. And we need to get up in the air and defend a stranded ship. It's December 1941. The Battle of Britain, from our perspective, is won. But the Germans are still causing problems. So let's go ahead and make a start. Battery on. Fuel shut-off valve open. RPM's full. Crack the throttle. Fuel booster on. Because it's cold, I'm going to dilute the oil for a couple of seconds. Release. I'm going to run the primer for a few seconds. Release. I'm going to turn the mags on. Open the starter switch. Stand on the brakes. 3, 2, 1. Put the fuel on. Good catch. Start cover off. Let's close the canopy because it's freezing. Keep the battery on. Get the generator on. Get the tail lights on. Get the pitot and gun heating on. Let's turn the radio on.
426 at 6,000 knots.
And we're picking up enemy. Turn that down a tad.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 109.
That's a little better.
6 at 6,000 knots.
Alright, releasing the brakes. Let's go. I'm not sure exactly what our wingman's going to do, but we shall see.
Rolling.
I think I'm going to go a straight shot across the field. Our question is, do we need to warm these engines up? Well, in real world, yes, but DCS, I don't think they care much for the Mustang. They do for the P47. You do got to warm that engine up. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to follow my wingman around. Or is he waiting for me?
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 130, 422 at 7,000 knots. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 121.
I'm just going to have to hide my guy for a sec. There we go. So I can move these forward and then make my guy reappear.
Overlord 1-1, Bra 125, 424 at 6,000 cold.
Now he's got his landing light on, so we'll turn ours on.
1-1, Bra 130, 420. Overlord 1-1, Bra 124, 424 at 6,000 cold.
Well, I'm not entirely sure where they would define the runway as being on this because it's just a massive green open field. But I'm going to come in behind this windsock
at 6,000 knots.
and just shoot straight across the field.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 129, 423 at 6,000.
Let's go for it.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, merged.
What, we're merged already? Oh my goodness. Come on, up you go, putting a bit of flaps on to help me get going. Gear in, stand on the brakes, and get rid of the flaps. Turn that down a tad, it's a bit loud. And there's the ship that we are to defend. I'm going to keep fuel booster on. Let's get the RPMs back a tad. And let's ask radar control.
Overlord 1-1. In field 1-1. Request bogey dope.
And let's use our external tanks for now.
Overlord 1-1. Bra 35242 at 3,500. Cold.
Let's get rid of the landing lights and our external lights.
Field 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Pop-up group 31642 at 3,000. Cold.
This guy's right on top of us.
Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 151 412 at 7,000 knots. Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 149 413 at 7,000 knots.
I'm gonna have to look out for this guy that's right on top of us apparently. Where's our wingman?
1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 143 416 at 6,000 knots. Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 144 415 at 6,000 knots.
I'm not currently seeing the guy that's apparently right next to us. Waiting for another bra call with regards to this guy while we keep our head on the lookout. Let's bring the engines back now. Let's ask again.
Overlord 1-1. In field 1-1. Request bogey dope. Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 15249 at 7,000 knots.
Alright, 152 for 9. Is our wingman with us yet? Wingman. Rejoin formation.
Join up.
Oh, we've got some AAA coming out that boat that we're there to defend. I think our guy may have just, I don't know, gotten lost.
Overlord 1-1. Pop-up group 25749 at 1,000. Cold.
257 for 9.
Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Merged. Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 14146 at 5,000. Cold. Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 11044 at 3,500 knots.
Right, it's time to switch over to the normal fuel tank.
1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 203.
Are these the external ones?
3,500. Cold.
There we go. Fuel tanks are gone, the external ones.
Group 268.
That's too slow to see them.
2,500. Cold.
Alright, well apparently they're right here, and I guess he's going to be shooting at them. Oh, finally our guys decided to take off.
Enfield 1-1. Overlord 1-1. Bra 12044 at 5,000 knots.
Come on.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 03241 at 3,500 knots.
It's incredibly how you can be right next to them and not see them.
2, wheels up. 1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 212
Right.
4 at 3,500 knots. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 26843 at 2,500 cold.
Right, there's finally seen someone.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 16142 at 4,000 knots. 2, redoing.
Yeah, it's definitely German.
1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 26741 at 4,500 cold. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 22642 at 1,500 cold. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 03041 at 4,500 knots. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 14643 at 1,000 cold. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 15444 at 2,000 cold.
He's had it. Right, back to the ship. Let's bring the RPMs back for a little rest. I mean, it's cold, so the engine does have that in its favour.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 24346 at 1,000 cold.
2 for 3 for 6. Well, all of these puffs in the sky are coming from AAA on that ship that we're to defend. So I don't know how many anti-A guns are on there, but there seems to be quite a few. Alright, we got the ship in sight. Have we got our
Enfield 1-1,
wingman
1-1, merged.
cover?
Cover me. 2, copy.
So I guess that's our guy right there. Yeah. One easy way to find out, we do a little maneuver.
2, engaging bandit.
So he's moving to engage. Where's that guy gone that we were going after? He was... I was messing around and lost sight of him. Looks like he's there and damaged. Don't know where he's flying, but not back to Germany. Germany is, or at least German territory, is right over there. Northern France.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 28542.
They built so many airfields.
3,000 knots.
I was just flying somewhere randomly, looking for a northern airbase, and actually the most northern airfield that you can fly to commercially was built by the Germans in World War II, by the Luftwaffee. Not really sure what they used it for, but it's halfway between Norway and the North Pole. and then wasn't used after the war for a bit, and then gradually one flight became 2, became 5,
Pop-up group 17841.
became a subsidized route. Now, that propeller is idling so slow. How is that guy flying that far, that fast for that long with a propeller that's barely moving?
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 00742 at 1000, cold.
I guess I've got no choice but to lose my speed.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 06440 at 1000 knots.
That's going to be this guy, surely.
Enfield 2, engaging bandit. 2, engaging bandit.
I mean, he's got his external lights on, this guy. I think he's trying to bail, but he's making a meal of it.
Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, pop-up group 31542 at 1000. 2, recoil.
Yeah, now Summit just came off the plane. I'm not sure if he's decided to bail or crash land or...
2, engaging bandit.
There he is, he's crashed, he's down. Right, next guy.
Overlord 1-1, infield 1-1, request bogey dope. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, Bra 27441 at 500, cold.
Nah, it's going to be the guy we just shot down. So I'm going to ignore that call. There is something behind me, but I'm guessing that could be my wingman. Yeah, I reckon that's the wingman. Let's ask again.
Overlord 1-1, infield 1-1, request bogey dope. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, clean.
There we go. I think with that we've defended. Tell you what, it's much harder in the World War II. You know, on the new ones you've got your little radar with your SA, and you know, even if your radar can't see the enemy, someone on your side can see the enemy, and because of that you can see the enemy on the data link.
1-1, passing waypoint 1 at 20,000.
What? He's climbed up to 20,000. Fair enough. Well, this was the injured boat up 12 that we were to defend. I think I'm going to give it a flyby and then return to base, which is just off the left wing. Any more for any more.
Overlord 1-1, infield 1-1, request bogey dope. Enfield 1-1, Overlord 1-1, clean.
Samuel Chase, that was it, I think. Alright. Returning to base and power back. And get the gun safety back on. Yeah, so this here, one of the first radars ever. Of course, doesn't exist anymore, but this is the World War II map. It was all around the southern and eastern coast of the UK. And these maps basically won the Battle of Britain. You've got to remember that the UK, going into the war, had similar numbers of aircraft as the Germans did, but we had more Hurricane aircraft, not so many Spitfires, and the Spitfires were the ones that were, the better fighter really, and that's why in the Battle of Britain the Spitfires went after the German fighters, and the Hurricanes, which weren't so good, went after the German bombers. And there was a lot of mistakes made on the German side as well, which is, I think, ultimately why they lost. Not least that they sent their main attack over in two halves, because half of the attacking force got the message to abandon the attack, and the other half didn't get that message. And then was the fact that the German fighters and bombers couldn't communicate with one another at all. They were locked off on different frequencies. And then, of course, an issue that plagued both the German and the British fighters throughout the war was the fact that they could only carry about 90 minutes worth of fuel. They could maybe eke it out to 2 hours with external tanks and by crawling, but of course, you could argue that across the channel was only like 15 minutes. That still only gave about an hour and a bit of operational use on the fighters, and of course the bombers were going to be here for much longer because they were going to have to go into London or wherever it was, and they would took such heavy losses. And by the time they got that squared away, the Battle of Britain was coming to an end, and those radars were just able to identify when attacks were starting to prepare up. They would take off and they would form up over the enemy air bases, and as soon as that started happening, RAF Fighter Command could see, there's these huge blobs starting to form up over the French coast. Get ready. And they were able to move fighters around that were, not many of them covering the whole country. They were able to move them all down to where they were needed. And as reinforcements were needed, fighters from further and further away, like up towards Scotland, were coming down. And so when the first lot of fighters were having to land to refuel, rearm, whatever, you had the fighters from up Scotland or wherever coming in. I mean, it was an incredible piece of, almost want to call it artwork, the way that they were able to defend the country. But it wasn't as if they were against completely overwhelming odds either. That's, you know, in the start of the war, England had more planes in the RAF than Germany had in the Luftwaffe. Plus, Germany was taking on France, Norway, the Netherlands, Poland. You know, it worked. It weren't like the Germans were completely superior in every way. They weren't. Which is partly what makes it such an incredible piece of history to look at, is how did a country that was, yes, bigger than the UK, but certainly not twice the size of the UK, able to take on and fight so well for so long, such superior forces. And all right, so there we go. Hawking, that's where we're going. Actually looks like a couple of German, these are well cheeky. They've gone and landed over at a neutral base. That teaches me for not setting all the bases to I wish there was an easier way to do that. Just set, I mean, granted, there's not many bases on this map, but set all these bases up here to the UK and all these ones over here to the Reich. Otherwise, they'll just land anywhere, which is not right, is it? Do you know what? I should kill those two for doing that. Always feels like you're cheating a bit when you're shooting someone on the ground. Do you know, there was some real good sportsmanship, if you want to call it that, I read in the war, right? I was reading some of this guy that was basically close with Rommel in North Africa, one of the Panzer commanders there. And he would... Basically, Germany had almost no air force in North Africa. They were completely outnumbered, outgunned by the British. Germany, you know, they were already struggling to get fuel to where it was needed at that point. You know, we're talking early 40s. And you would have the British come over in their planes. Granted, they weren't P-51s like this, but they were the Spitfires. And they would find this German patrol that sort of, you know, because the way that these tank battalions worked, you'd have your main tanks in the middle, and then at the edges, you'd have like 2 or 3 trucks that were doing the patrolling, you know, because it was too expensive to move hundreds of tanks everywhere. So they'd keep the tanks in the middle, just have 2 or 3 trucks over here, 2 or 3 over there, 2 or 3 back there. And these trucks would do these big sweeping patrols looking for stuff, and obviously if they found anything, then the tanks would be called into wherever that, you know, and the British did the same. And these patrols would get picked up by the RAF on the regular, and they would come down the RAF like this, and they knew they had the skies right at this point. They knew it was, you know, there was not much involved in killing these trucks, and they would come down and they would see these trucks and they would see the Germans down there, and whether there were any shots fired or not was irrelevant, but the Germans soon realized, we need to get out of these trucks. And then when they came down again, and there is the airbase, he said he would describe seeing the pilots literally wave, as not wave as in hello, but wave as in get out your trucks. They would wave, you know, they would wave them away from their trucks. And you know, the Germans understood what that meant, and they would get away. And then when the fighters passed down on the second time, they would shoot. That's my wingman engaging. I didn't actually see him. Alright, there we go. I see him. Well, bit of a wing stall there. And we managed to get some rounds on. And so, yeah, it was just like this. You know, the guys in the planes, they could have just outright killed all these people that were basically defenseless in these trucks. But instead, you know, they waved them out, give them another pass, and then shot up the trucks. But there, you know, there was a lot of stuff the other way done as well. That was, again, it was just gentlemanly conduct in the middle of horror.
Running in.
I guess I could slow down a little bit. Not really getting much time on target here.
Guns.
There we go. That'll do. Let's RTB. I'll let wing.
Rejoin.
Yeah, you rejoin because we're RTB now. Sun's coming up quite nice.
Engaging bandit.
Oh, he's having another pop. Well, you engage your bandit. I'm gonna go safe. How are we doing fuel-wise? So you can't see it with our guy. Plenty of fuel on the right. Oh, come on.
Running in.
I think we've probably got even more fuel on the left still. And so where's Hawking? Well, about 060. There we go. Airfield in sight. Let's go max power for a bit. Turn the external lights on. Wing and tail. .45 stop, pull, reduce the power. And there we go, we're on what would be the downwind. There's our wingman. Alright, gear down, we're below 150 and I'm going to go flaps about a third, something like that. And trim up for landing. Flaps about 50% now. A little bit of power. Just to stop it popping quite so bad. Keep the turn going. Looks really nice now with the sun at this sort of level. Hello. Looks like he's getting ready to land and all. I'm going to go flaps full. Ah, he's bouncing up and down a lot. Wait, what the hell? Is he going to land next to me? Well, You go for it if you think you can do it, pal. What the hell? Did he just disappear when he just disappeared, didn't he? He touched down and then disappeared. Oh, there's some sort of weird DCS glitch going on there, that's for sure. Anyway, we are down. We'll let him do what he wants. We'll get rid of the flaps so we don't put stones into it. And here's the flag where it all began. Let's put the stick forward. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. And still